G'day fellas, and welcome to a Season 5 guide. In this video, we're going to be going through an Abbasid guide that you can use in team games, in 1v1s, and it's going to be from Vortex. If you'd like to check out Vortex, I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch him live. But let's get into it. This is a great build order that gives you a lot of flexibility in the mid-game. So he starts off, all 6 villagers, straight onto food, makes sure that he trains vills from the town center and brings the sheep over into that Goldilocks zone in front of the TC. Really important to get them in there. At the same time, he's going to be sending his scout out into the middle of the map. Don't send this bad boy around the back of your base just yet. You want to come around, do a bit of a loop. Meanwhile, the first villager has come out of the town center. He's going to be building a house, followed by a mining camp, and making sure that he staggers these buildings because he's got his House of Wisdom network that he needs to make sure he's connecting all of his buildings out here. After this, one villager from the town center is going to be going over to food. He'll reach a peak of 7 villagers on food inside the Dark Age. That's key, because now that he's got that 7th villager on food, no more villagers will be going onto food for the rest of the Dark Age. From here, he'll be looking to go up to a total of 3 villagers on gold, and at that point, he'll be pulling all of the villagers off gold. That's all we want. We just want 3 villagers off gold, collect collect the 200 gold, and then that is it. We're completely onto wood after that. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about scouting paths. One of the things you'll note is he goes out for a loop into the middle of the map, comes back around towards the back side of his base. We'll look to collect the sheep back here. He's got plenty of time before he needs to get back to his town center. There's lots of sheep underneath these town center, or at least lots of food in these sheep underneath the town center. So it's important to remember that you don't have to get back to your TC until about 2 minutes is absolutely fine on the timing. So we can see now he's added that 3rd villager out to gold. So 7 vills on food, 3 vills on gold, and now we'll be looking to drop down his House of Wisdom. The House of Wisdom takes a while to get up, so it's important that we throw our House of Wisdom down before we are due to age up. If you look at his resources right now, Vortex is making sure that he's working towards that age up, but he's not leaving it until the last minute to throw the House of Wisdom down. So he's definitely thought about this build order, definitely thought about this opening quite a bit. With this now that he's added in this House of Wisdom, this villager will be going over to wood, and every subsequent villager will also be going to wood. He'll make sure he throws down a lumber camp, and then he'll be paying very close attention to the villagers that are down here on the gold vein. This is key, because once this gold vein, a little trick you can do is you can click on the gold vein, and once you hit 3,900 like that, pull all the vills in, drop off the gold, click the age up. Where is it? There it is. And then bring your villagers over onto the wood line. So from here, he'll be looking to rally out villagers onto wood. He'll be going up to 8 villagers on wood. So nice and simple. 7 villagers on food, 8 villagers on wood, and take a look at the wing that he's going for here. Military wing. There's a really special reason why he's going for this. The military wing allows you to get 2 different types of units without making any production buildings. That's pretty cool. It allows you to defend against any aggression, say against the Mongols, and it also allows you to put on aggression in the event that your enemy isn't aggressive towards you in the Dark Age. This is really a great strategy because it allows you to, it buys you space. I think that's the best part about it. It buys you space to do what you want behind it, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing. I mentioned earlier the fact that you can use this build order in team games as well as 1v1, and the reason why is because it is a bit of a greedy build order. You can choose when you'd like to stop on the town centers, but a little bit of a tip, I recommend 3. I think any more than 3, and you're probably playing with fire. So let's keep it below that number, and that's exactly what he looks to go for here. So we see that now he's rallied out 7 villagers onto food, 8 villagers over onto wood, and now all the rest of the villagers from here are going to be going out towards stone. Interestingly, he's also put down a barracks over towards the stone mine. Now, one thing to note is the way that he's staggering these production buildings. He's making sure that they are all leading out towards the final destination, which in this case is going to be the mining camp. And you can see that he's working towards that golden age. So at the moment on 4 out of 10, this will be 5 out of 10. That'll be 6 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is about to be coming down here. Note that he did delete his mining camp because he's playing against the Mongols. Now, one thing to note, though, is that the units are about to pop out 4 minutes and 5 seconds, and the first thing you want to do with them, send them straight over towards the enemy base. And you can see that he's got them positioned right here outside the enemy gold. He's up against a Mongol player, so you could look to challenge on the Uvu, or you can look to challenge the gold, and it's going to be the gold today because the Uvu, not particularly easy to challenge with the town center there. So make sure you look at that if you're playing your 1v1 games. If you're playing your team games, keep that in mind as well. So now, he's taken a couple of villagers off wood. He's brought them down over to gold. There's a couple of reasons why he's looking to do this. Number 1, he's building up gold towards that castle age. That's the first thing. Second of all, he's going to be looking for his spearman upgrade. That's part of the reason why he's looked to throw down this barracks nice and early, because getting that spearman upgrade is going to allow your spears to do a little bit more damage in this feudal age. And now we'll start rallying out back over onto wood. You can see he's got the villagers here over on stone, just the 5 for now. But we've got the next upgrade that is coming through, and it's going to be that hardened upgrade for your spears. Meanwhile, over towards the enemy side of the map, we're at the 5-minute mark, and he's got 4 units in the enemy base. You know what? The devs buffed this, but I've got fears that they might even think about nerfing this bad boy. So he's going to come in and take a look at how he positions his archers, bringing the archers right up towards this position so that he's able to reach on this villager that cops really low health, manages to get them. Second villager's down, third villager will come down as well, and a beautiful timing on that with just a really early strike. Meanwhile, back towards his base, everything's going to plan. So he's picked up the hardened upgrade for his spearmen, which means that in the event that there's any enemy Keshiks that come out, he's going to be able to deal with them relatively effectively. But at the same time, he leaves 3 villagers on gold because there's some key upgrades he needs to get. First and foremost, he needs to be picking up fresh foodstuffs. This is going to reduce the cost of his villagers. So you can see it's a slow trickle of gold that's coming in. At the same time, he's very carefully balancing between stone and wood because he's looking for that next town center. Meanwhile, back towards the base, you can see that he's struggling over against the Keshiks. We're not going to focus too much on casting this game. It's more on what Vortex is doing here in the base. That's what's important here. So now, at this point, he's going to be looking to drop down that second town center. So he'll be going down on the stone. I would recommend, if you're thinking about going for 3 TCs, always look to put your second town center on the stone. This is going to help you in 2 ways. Number 1, it guarantees that your stone is safe, so that if any enemy raids come through, you're going to be able to pop these villagers inside the town center, you're able to defend, and then you're able to just get them back out onto the stone immediately. So that's number 1. Number 2 is that it's a very quick drop-off. You can see that the vills come out, they just throw the TC down, and then they're straight back to work. Compare that to a TC that maybe went down over here on the back of the base or next to the berry, something like that. It's a bit of a walk, so you're saving a fair bit of time here. So now we see more spearmen coming out. Now this is because he's reacting to what his enemy's seen, or what he's seen from his enemy. He has seen that his enemy is making Keshiks. And speaking of Keshiks, well, Keshik comes through. He's trying his best to keep the villager alive, but the town center comes up, and had you made this anywhere else, you might have been in strife. But because it's up on the stone, he's got that absolutely perfect timing down there, and also almost manages to take out the Keshik. Meanwhile, there's trade happening on the other side of the map. We're not going to focus too much on this, but I can tell you right now, he's going to be making units. He's going to be looking to deal with it. And now he's got the reduced cost of the villagers. The second town center is going to be able to take advantage of it. Meanwhile, a second production building is going to come down here. And remember, you can be flexible with your next town center. So at this point in time, the way that Vortex is playing, he's still hesitant to go into that third TC. He's gathered up a little bit of stone, not a huge amount of stone. And the thing that he's looking for is trade. If he sees that his enemy is going crazy with trade, he's going to make sure that he throws down that third TC. And what does he spot? 1, 2, 3 traders. He says, oh my lord, 3 traders? Boy, oh boy, have I got a plan for you guys. And immediately we'll see him begin to shift those villagers over from food, down over onto stone. And that's going to allow him to start building up that stone. So let's focus in on what's happening back here. He's hit his first goal. Number 1, get that golden age up. Number 2, make sure that you've got that second TC up. And we can see right now that he's still now looking to put pressure down on this south side of the map on these traders. But there are the villagers now going to start migrating here. He realizes, I can go into a third TC here. But just keep in mind, he's not neglecting his military. He's thrown down the stable. And now he's going to move into his feudal age composition, which is spears together with horsemen. This is a really potent combo. And it goes against a lot of... Oof, my lord, that is a Keshik right there, my friends. Go villagers. Looks like he does end up losing 1 villager. Spearman manages to take out the Keshik. But let's talk a little bit about this combination. This is a great Abbasid combination. The spearmen deal very well with the cavalry. The horsemen deal great with the archers, and that's a great a common combination of units that you see. If you're up against the French, up against the Rus, even up against the Mongols. Archer together with knight, or archer together with Keshik here. So that's the combo that he's going to be looking to play, and we can see he's now got enough resources for the next TC, throws that down on the hunt. And you'll note that there will be some key upgrades that come through with this. As with any good economic player, when you start taking your hunt, you begin to get your upgrade as well. So we'll be looking to see his upgrade timing, and there it is right now. Survival techniques coming through with this, and he'll also be looking to pick up other T1 upgrades now that he's got the 3rd town center down. That's the key timing that he's waiting for here. You can see that everything else, it costs relevant resources. So now that that 3rd TC's down, he can look for those upgrades, start to bring them in, and he's still making units out onto the map. So looking to continue producing units here. 3rd TC about to come up, and he's secured a food source. That's another key factor to note here, is he's looking to secure food. As the Abbasid dynasty, you've got lots of villages that need to be produced through your town centers, and sure, they're a cheaper cost, but at the end of the day, they're still going to cost food. So we want to make sure that we secure that food, and that's exactly what he does with this TC, securing both the deer and the berries with it. Meanwhile, back towards the base, still only the 2 villages on gold. Hasn't gone any more than that at the moment. It's just the focus is on eco upgrades. When he wants to go castle, what he's going to do is just transition a whole bunch of villages over to gold, and that's exactly what we see now. All of them moving down here. Now, when it comes to castle age, this is something that you're going to have to play by ear. If you see that your enemy's making a lot of units, then it's probably important that you respond with a lot of units. But a build order like this gives you plenty of flexibility for that feudal age timing, whether you want to go 2 TCs or 3 TCs, whether you want to stay in feudal and fight it out on the 3 TCs, or whether you just want to go straight up to castle age, the same way that we see Vortex doing right now. But still, he's putting out great pressure onto the map. Spearmen together with the horsemen, able to take out this archer, lancer, or archer Keshik combo. Keep in mind, he's also keeping enemy trade down while he's doing this. So it's working twofold in that he's killing the enemy army, but he's also killing or preventing the enemy trade. One thing to note is behind this, he's starting to wall up. This is key against Mongols. Mongols love to go for these raids. They've got the ability to get in quickly and get out quickly because of the Khan. You've got to make sure that you have preemptive walls coming up. So if you're playing as the Abbasid in a 1v1, always be looking to get these walls up, and make sure you try and include your resources behind them. If we take a look at the way that he's walled right now, you can see that he's walling between each of the wood lines. It only costs wood to wall. So you want to try and save every little bit that you can. And that means that if you find a wood line that you can wall in between, it's going to help you out a huge amount on that cost. We can see him bringing those walls back nice and safely around the edge of his base. He wants to be 100% walled in. He's going to continue to apply pressure at the front, but at the same time, let's ride back on board with the base, because the age up's about to come through. Go on. Go on. Click it. Click it. Click it, Vortex. There we go. And so now we're moving into the culture wing. The culture wing is key here because this is going to provide so many different bonuses for him. The main one, in my eyes, it's going to be the fact that he's got preservation of knowledge accessible. This is going to reduce the cost of all of his tier 2 techs. It's going to reduce the cost of all of his blacksmith techs. It's going to reduce the cost of absolutely everything. Not to mention the fact that if he wants to age up to Imperial, now it's cheaper as well. It's as cheap as a Palace of Swabia is. So there's a lot of bonuses to doing it. And in the transition period, so we can see up until this point, he'd only had 4 production buildings down. Wasn't going particularly crazy with the production. But now look what's happening in the transition period. Plenty more production is being thrown down here. A lot of barracks, because we're going into the Ghulam. The Ghulam is the brand new unique unit that the Abbasid have now got access to. And that's a unit that he's going to be really looking to highlight here in the Castle Age. It's got a lot of potency once it comes out of the gate because of its double strike attack. It does take some time for him to age up though. So it's important to note that during this transition period, if he is getting pushed, the number one thing he's going to be looking to do is make units. Even though he's not making the units that he wants, even though he wants to be making lancers and ghulams, he's not going to be able to do that just yet. So he has to settle for spears. He has to settle for camels, or in this case, for horsemen. But we do now see he's going to be going up to a total of 5 barracks early on in the Castle Age, which is quite a fair bit when you think about it. That's a lot of barracks that are coming out, and we can get a bit of an idea on what the enemy composition is going to be here. And the Ghulam will do pretty well against this. The Ghulam's got a fair amount of armor, so that'll stack up well against the archer. And it's also got really decent attack, so that'll go quite well against the Keshik here. Meanwhile, let's focus back on home as the age up has now come through. And we can talk a little bit about where the military goes from here. And it's all armored units, baby. You can see that he has got plenty of lancers in queue, followed up with lots of Ghulams. And look at the upgrades that he's gone for. Now immediately going for boot camp, straight into preservation of knowledge behind it. And this is going to reduce the cost of all the tier 2 techs that he wants to try and access. I probably would have gone it the other way around. I probably would have gone preservation of knowledge into boot camp. But, you know, each to their own. He's also hit that tier 2 golden age timing. and the Ghulams are now out on the field with their boot camp. So a little bit more health on these guys now. But as we can see, the Ghulam numbers are really starting to rise on the defensive here. He gets that age up in at about 14 minutes here. And the enemy begins to push through. Let's take a look at the enemy and see how Trade is doing behind this. And you can see Trade is non-existent. This is very awkward for his enemy because if we check the villager counts, Vortex is at 83 and his enemy's at 49. So he's well and truly ahead on that villager count by about 35 here. So now the Ghulams going to be coming out around the top side. A couple of camel riders here as well. Keep in mind, he did go up with the culture wing. So he's built or trained these camel riders. But together with the Ghulams, these guys are just going to completely eliminate the enemy forces here. And let's focus a little bit about what you know what's going to happen here, right? Let's focus on what's happening back here. The upgrades are starting to come through. Now that we've got our preservation of knowledge, that allows us to move into our upgrades at a reduced price. So that's what he's looking to do here. He's going to be picking up all of his tier 2 upgrades. He's got plenty of gold in the bank. And at the same time, looking to go for a bit of a farm transition. Having second thoughts about the positioning on that one, but does manage to find the correct play. And now you can see the Ghulams. Now this is key. He's made sure to wall in his entire base because he's fearful of a run-by coming through. And we can see that as a consequence of playing up against that and the walls, it means that his enemy's not going to have the opportunity to go for that run-by. At best, he's going to get a Keshik behind enemy lines, but with the camels chasing them, good luck. So now he continues to move into those economic upgrades. We see Wheelbarrow finally coming through. +2 on the wood gathering, +2 on fertilization. I didn't see him ever pick up specialized pick, so this is interesting to note. For some reason, he's not a fan of specialized pick or acid distillation, it seems. But more upgrades going to continue coming through behind this and just maintaining production. Also dropping the mosque down, so we'll be looking to pick up relics on the map, which is an important mid-game thing that you should be doing. But keep in mind, it shouldn't be one of your focuses at early stages. When I say early stages, I'm talking, you know, your Gold League, Platinum League, even up to Diamond, right? I don't think it's particularly important. The most important thing is just continuing to train units, and that's exactly what he is doing here, just spamming out units. It looks like a little bit of an overchop does come through, so unfortunately that Keshik will make it out alive. But for the moment, you can see that Vortex is just in an absolute king of a position, and with that, it's going to be a good game. He has overwhelmed his enemy. Fellas, I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at this Abbasid build order. Let me know if you'd like what civ you'd like to see next. I'm planning to go through every single civilization. Next up, I'm thinking maybe the French, maybe the English, but I'm curious what you'd like to see. So let me know down in the comments. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.